All right, so you're here because, let's be honest, you want to get right to the heart of things. You want to know what matters most. And today, I think our mission here is to really look at divine presence, the whole idea of leadership, and how do people react when they think God has spoken?
Yeah, and how does that
Yeah,
impact their identity as a people?
absolutely. So let's just jump right into it.
Okay.
This section of Exodus is really about what happens between God and the Israelites after they've, gotten out of Egypt.
Right. Right after that liberation.
It is a very tense moment.
Yeah.
And it feels like everything is kind of hanging in the balance.
Absolutely. And what strikes me immediately is that God just gives very direct instructions.
Yeah, straight up tells Moses,
Straight up.
get going,
Aha.
take these people.
Yep.
I brought out of Egypt, go to the promised land.
Yes. And that is a huge promise
Is.
made way back
Yeah.
to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob.
Yeah.
This is a long-term commitment that is being brought up again here.
Yeah, and he even says, I'm going to send an angel to clear the way.
Oh, yeah, to drive out those who are already there.
Like the Canaanites, the Amorites,
Yes, sir.
Hittites.
All of them.
It feels very straightforward, right?
It does. It feels like, okay, this is how it's going to go, but I will not go with you,
Yeah.
he says. And that's like, wow, okay, hold on.
It just happened.
Yeah, and he says it's because you are a stiff-necked people, and I might destroy you on the way.
Ooh.
It's
wow.
not just about what they did in the past.
It's about a pattern
Yeah.
of disobedience, of difficulty trusting.
So how do the people react? They mourn, and no one put on any ornaments.
That's a powerful statement.
It's visceral.
Yeah, they're not just like, oh, bummer.
They're feeling this deeply.
It's grief.
It is grief. And those ornaments,
Yeah.
they were probably signs of their status,
Yeah.
maybe reminders of their freedom, and now they're taking them off.
Yeah, they're humbling themselves.
They are.
It's serious.
And God even tells Moses, tell them to keep those ornaments off
Oh, wow.
because you're stiff-necked.
That's a consequence right there.
It is a consequence. And he
Yeah.
says, well, I decide what to do next.
So they're just kind of stripped bare, waiting.
Waiting.
What's
Yeah.
next?
Yeah, there's a heaviness to the atmosphere here.
Yeah, and then you have this shift with the tent of meeting.
Right.
So why does Moses set this up outside the camp?
Well, this is where we see a change in their relationship with God.
Quick.
Before, God was very present in the camp all the time, it seemed.
Yeah.
But now there's this designated spot.
Like a meeting place.
Yeah, meeting place to seek guidance, and it's outside the camp.
Almost like it's a deliberate step away from the everyday stuff.
Yeah, like you have to be intentional about seeking God's guidance.
That's interesting. And every time Moses went to the tent, everyone watched him.
They all rose and watched until he entered.
Wow, that's powerful.
They respected him.
Yeah, they knew he had this special connection with God.
Absolutely. And then when the Lord spoke to Moses,
Yeah.
the pillar of cloud descended at the entrance of the tent.
Can you imagine seeing that?
I mean, talk about awe-inspiring.
This physical sign of God just appearing there.
Right there.
And how do they react?
They worship at the entrance of their own tents.
It's like they're all acknowledging this divine presence, but from a distance.
Yeah, it's centralized through Moses, but they're each responding individually.
Yeah. And then it says that God spoke to Moses face to face as one speaks to a friend.
As one speaks to a friend.
When you're talking about God, that is a powerful image.
It speaks to a closeness and a directness in their relationship.
But it also really sets Moses apart.
He's the one with this kind of access.
Yeah, and then there's this little detail about Joshua staying in the tent.
Oh yeah, even after Moses left.
What do you think that means?
Well, make you wonder about the future, right?
Yeah.
Maybe this is the start of a transition of leadership, or at least Joshua showing his dedication.
Yeah, like he's learning. He wants to be close to that divine presence.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And of course, he does become Moses' successor.
Right. So we have the setup. God's not going with them directly. The people are mourning, and Moses has this special tent for talking to God.
Yeah, and then Moses steps in and starts to intercede.
What's his main point?
He starts by saying, okay, you've told me to lead,
Mm-hmm.
but you haven't told me who's going with me.
Okay.
Like, who's your representative going to be?
Like, I'm supposed to lead, but I need some support here.
Exactly. And then he reminds God of their relationship.
You said you know me by name.
Uh-huh. And you have found favor with me.
Like, hey, we have this bond, remember?
Don't forget about that.
Yeah. And he basically says, if I'm going to lead these people your way, I need to understand how you do things.
Yeah, he asks, teach me your ways so I may know you and continue to find favor with you.
He wants that deeper connection.
He does. And then he brings it back to the Israelites.
Remember, these are your people.
This nation is your people.
It's a powerful reminder.
It is.
So how does God respond?
Initially, he says, My presence will go with you, and I will give you rest.
It sounds like that's it, problem solved.
It does. But Moses isn't satisfied. He
Really?
pushes back.
This is where his leadership skills really come through.
Absolutely.
What does he say?
He says, if your presence does not go with us, do not send us up from here.
Wow, he's not messing around.
No, he's saying without you directly there, what's the point?
It's not even about Moses anymore. It's about all of them.
Yeah, he's thinking about the whole nation.
It makes you wonder, was he really unsure who God would send, or was this like a strategy to get to what he really wanted,
That's a great question.
which was God's presence itself?
Yeah, like an angel isn't enough.
Right. He goes on to say, "How will anyone know that you are pleased with me and with your people unless you go with us? What else will distinguish me and your people from all the other people on the face of the earth?"
That's the key right there.
God's presence is what makes them different,
It's the sign of their special relationship with God.
and God's favor.
So what's God's response?
I'm on the edge of my seat.
He says, I will do the very thing you have asked, because I am pleased with you, and I know you by name.
Moses changed his mind.
He did. His persistence paid off.
It really shows how deep their connection was.
Yeah, he was advocating for his people.
But then Moses takes it even further. He says, "Show me your glory."
Wow, that is bold.
It is.
He wants a more direct experience of God.
So what happens?
God responds and says, okay, I'm going to cause my goodness to pass before you,
Uh-huh.
and I'm going to proclaim my name.
Okay, so we're going to learn about God's character.
Exactly, his mercy and his compassion.
He even says, "I will have mercy on whom I will have mercy, and I will have compassion on whom I will have compassion."
It's about his sovereign nature.
Yeah, but then he says, "You cannot see my face, for no one may see me and live."
You can't handle the full force of God's being.
Yeah, there's a limit to what humans can comprehend.
Absolutely. But he does offer a way for Moses to witness his glory.
Okay, so how does that work?
He puts Moses in a cleft in the rock and covers him with his hand as his glory passes by.
It's almost like he's protecting him.
It is, and then he says, you'll see my back, but not my face.
So even Moses, with his special connection, can't fully grasp God's glory.
Right. There's still a mystery there.
Wow, so what have we learned from this deep dive into Exodus 33?
Well, it's been quite a journey, hasn't it?
It has. We started with potential abandonment and despair, and then Moses steps up and changes everything.
Yeah, his courage and his persistence really reshaped their relationship with God.
And we saw that tension between God's justice and his mercy.
Yeah, his justice because of their actions, but his mercy in response to Moses.
And it's so clear that God's presence is essential for them to succeed.
They need him to reach the promised land.
And Moses and God have this incredibly close relationship.
It's remarkable how open they are with each other.
Yeah, they really talk, and Moses' intercession is so powerful.
He changed God's mind.
He did, so it really makes you think about what it means to try and understand things beyond our grasp.
Like the divine.
Yeah, or even ultimate truth, or some really complex scientific principle.
How much can we really know?
Yeah, what are the limits of being human?
And what does it mean to have a guiding presence in our lives?
Yeah, whether it's something personal or something bigger.
How do we know when something is directing our path?
How do we even recognize it?
That's something to ponder for sure.
It is. Thanks for diving in with us.